Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. So hello and welcome to the zkApp acceleration video session. So today we have with us esteemed representatives from the Web3 space to delve into the details of this exciting acceleration program. So let's kick things off with some introductions. So let's extend a warm welcome to one of the co-founders behind Manta Network, Kenny. Hi, Kenny.
Hey, Alessio. Hi, everyone.
Hey, hi. So amazing ideas and teams go in amazing directions with the right mentors. And today we are delighted to have with us Nick, COO of Celestia, and Sandeep, co-founder of Polygon. Hi, guys.
Hey, good to be here.
Hey, guys.
Great.
Good to be here.
Thank you, guys. And last but not least, let's give a warm welcome to all the mentors of our program. So we have James. Hi, James.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, could you please introduce yourself and share a little bit about your background in the blockchain and Web3 space, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll be really quick. I'm Jim. I'm the managing partner at Polychain Capital. We're an early stage venture fund that focuses on blockchain infrastructure. We've supported a number of teams in the modular ecosystem, as well as a few in the monolithic ecosystems. We invest mostly in like the Ethereum and Cosmos ecosystems and interoperability more broadly. So really excited to have this conversation and talk more about
Great.
the topic at hand.
Great. Thank you for your presentation. And hi, Luke. Please introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself.
Hello, yeah. Thank you very much, Celestia. My name is Luke Pearson. I'm a general partner at Polychain Capital, an early stage venture business focusing on pre-seed, seed, Series A, and sometimes some later stage in the Web3 and blockchain space. I've been here since 2021. Prior to that, I was an applied cryptographer working on scaling solutions for blockchain since 2016. So traditionally an engineering and maths background, and spent years working for lots of the prominent players in the Ethereum space, publishing some research, and then moved into venture. Looking really forward to mentoring people along the zk acceleration track.
Great. Thank you for your introduction. And hi, Matt. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your background in the space.
Sure, happy to be here. I'm Mass. I go by Rain and Coffee on social media, so you might know me from there. I lead research at Maven 11. We're a crypto-only fund operating out of Amsterdam. We, like many others in this call, also do primarily infrastructure, but also still more DeFi. I generally look at mechanism design in terms of deals we do on the venture side, specifically interoperability, so the modular space, zk and MEV. And I also write a lot of stuff. Happy to be here.
Great. Thank you, Matt. And Austin, please introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit more about you.
Hey, everyone. I'm the managing partner at Accelerator Capital. Spent the last 3.5 years as a partner at CoinFund before recently launching Relayer. Focused across both liquid and venture, specifically within DeFi, DePIN, zk, interoperability, and a bunch of other segments. Do a lot of work with teams on the tokenomics, go-to-market, incentive design, and other areas. That's a little bit about me.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I think that everyone knows very well Sandeep and Nick. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to say a few words, just feel free to tell us a little bit more about you guys and what is your role at Celestia and Polygon. Just a quick introduction about yourself.
Yeah, I can go first. I'm Sandeep, one of the co-founders at Polygon. And at Polygon, I mostly focus on building the ecosystem and onboarding devs into Polygon and trying to see like how to make Polygon the base location for developers to build. That's
great. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Nick. If you want to say a few words.
Yeah, I'm Nick. I'm the COO at Celestia Labs, and we're building Celestia, which is the first modular blockchain network, and specifically it's a data availability layer. So it provides scalable, secure, verifiable block space for rollups and zkApps to build on top of it so that they can keep their costs low, but at the same time be secure and decentralized.
Great. Thank you, Nick, for your introduction, and thank you guys for presenting yourself.
I think this was a very good introduction from Nick. Like, I should also actually a little bit talk about Polygon in that sense. Like, I should have used that opportunity to do that. Like, what Polygon is doing is we are building the aggregated blockchains. Like, using zk proofs, we aggregate all the blockchains. We feel that how we'll be able to build this internet or planetary scale infrastructure. That's my only goal. And at Polygon, we are working towards the end state. And to build that, you need like these, like as Nick said, in the modular world, like as many chains can launch, like amazing chains like Manta and many other, they can launch. So there is infinite scalability. But in order for all of them to have seamless flow of value across them, this aggregation of blockchains using these zk proofs is what we believe that is the architecture which can scale blockchains to this planetary scale. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for the clarification and for the insights, Sandeep. So I think that we can just go straight to the point. So I will ask you some questions, Kenny. So what is the zkApp Accelerator? Can you just tell us more and tell to the public a little bit more about the zkApp Accelerator?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to start off and say thanks to everyone here for joining. And I can't stop smiling because it feels like almost like a wedding day where I see all these people that I know in this space, and it's really exciting to finally see you guys see each other. I don't know how many of you guys actually know each other, but I know most of you guys, and so it's just great to see you guys all. So for the zkApp Accelerator, right, like I think it's really exciting because we're bringing together such amazing minds from various parts of the industry, all people that we work with in some respect. And, our focus here is to really grow the Web3 ecosystem with amazing projects that are thinking about future generations of applications. And what we really mean by that is that, applications that are focused very much on leveraging zk in order to build what can't be built today. We already see things on Manta such as zk Hold'em, which is the first on-chain Texas Hold'em game. And that can only be possible using zero knowledge and homomorphic encryption. We're starting to see a lot of use cases around on-chain private identity. And I think like this is really just the tip of the iceberg for these types of next generation applications. So really excited to see everyone here supporting and kind of pushing together to make sure that, we really scale out Web3 in terms of the application layer and getting it out to these 1 billion users that we're trying to all obtain.
Yeah, and what are the key criteria used to evaluate and to select projects for the zk acceleration program?
Yeah, I think, in terms of the acceleration program, there's a few components that we look at, right? Like one is definitely making sure that the technical expertise is there. I think that's fairly the baseline, right? But two, also thinking very clearly about product market fit, right? Because at the end of the day, on the one hand, it's great to build such amazing technologies, but on the other hand, right, want to make sure that it's productized, usable, and there's clear value to the users.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what qualities are you looking for in the potential participants to the program?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things in terms of both the individual as well as the team dynamic, right? On the individual level, definitely want to find very smart, driven, focused individuals, especially those that are extremely interested in not just kind of building what already exists today, but thinking about, where they can push the envelope. And then the other aspect is definitely on the team side, making sure that the team dynamics are there, right? That everyone can complement each other's strengths and weaknesses to ultimately push forward and, build a very long-standing project. I think everyone here today knows how much effort it takes in order to actually get projects to where they need to be.
And what are the benefits for the participants? What are the benefits?
I mean, you get to chat with everyone here, right? That's really awesome. I think that's already really, really cool. And then beyond that, right, like definitely in terms of mentorship, right, like you've got a lot of people who have tons of experience on the VC side. You've got people here that are also very experienced on the project side. And, you know, like ultimately we just want to see all these projects really succeed, because, you know, it'll be a direct benefit, not just to everyone here, but also to showcase to the Web3 space, right? Like what we're actually really capable of.
Yeah, great. So the program involves collaboration with Celestia and with Polygon. And how did this collaboration come about? And what is the role that Manta play in shaping the success of the program?
Yeah, so I mean, like we've been working with Celestia and Polygon for quite some time now, and you know, it's been just an amazing journey. I think that even around on the VC side, right, like everyone here in this space, right, like I think we've worked pretty closely with you guys for quite a bit of time, and I think it really is a testament not just to the fact that Web3 is all about building amazing technology, but also creating amazing things together. And so I think like we just wanted to take that next step and make sure that, you know, we can continue to foster and encourage these types of relationships moving forward.
Great. Thank you, Candy, for your valuable insights. I think that we can just ask some questions to Nick from Celestia. So Nick, what do you think about the zkApp acceleration program, and what role does the data availability layer play in enhancing the modularity of the participating projects?
So to me, zk technology is going to play a massive role in the future adoption of blockchain-based applications for a lot of different reasons. One is, you know, it gives you scalability. The other is it unlocks privacy and lots of like randomness and lots of like new dimensions of verifiability, which to me is what, you know, blockchains are all about, or like verifiable computers. And so it makes a lot of sense to have a accelerator that's dedicated to that. And I think we're going to see, like Kenny said, a lot of the next generation of blockchain apps come out of this type of domain. And specifically what Celestia as a data availability layer provides is that all these zk apps under the hood need to have what's called data availability, which is they need to be able to publish certain data about their application publicly so that everyone else can verify it. Otherwise, you can't actually trust the integrity of a zk application. And so data availability is sort of like a core ingredient, right? And historically, data availability has been very expensive on blockchains like Ethereum, because there's just a limited data throughput that they can support. And what Celestia has done is it's implemented a new technology called data availability sampling, which allows us to scale the amount of data throughput massively with the number of nodes in the network, so that no longer will data availability be a bottleneck for these applications. So I think Celestia is providing that like really scalable, secure base layer on which people can deploy their zk applications on top of.
Oh, great. And you know, Celestia is very well recognized in the space for its modular consensus. So how can this benefit projects in the accelerator, and what should participants expect from leveraging this technology? So
Celestia is a big proponent of this like modular architectures for blockchains. And so Celestia specifically is a project that it tackles like the data availability and consensus part of the stack. And that enables the developers to focus on the execution layer, which is where the applications and the smart contracts and all the business logic runs. And so that's really, I think, the benefit is that in another approach of building, if you want to build your own chain and have full control, before the modular architecture, you'd have to build a consensus network and data availability and solve all the stacks at once. Or you could just build a smart contract, which is just scratching the surface of what's possible. Like you have very little control over your stack. And so the modular architecture allows builders to have a lot more control and flexibility on what they want to build. because it gives them the full control of the full execution layer. And so I think that's going to be a major benefit.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And in terms of collaboration, so how can the participants engage with Celestia, and are there specific benefits to leveraging Celestia's technology beyond the acceleration program?
Yeah, so the way that they can obviously, like, I'm here to support, and so we're a very open organization and like a growing community. We have a forum where there's lots of like interesting ideas being proposed and discussed, and so I'm here as a resource and would love to like hear different ideas from folks and support them, especially as it pertains to anything that like their data availability needs, or just modular questions about like the modular architecture in general, and specifically the way that their application would interface with Celestia is that they would be posting their data to the Celestia chain, or like let's say they're building on top of Manta, then they would all their block data would then from Manta be being posted to Celestia. So they'd be paying. It's sort of similar to like using any other blockchain like Ethereum, where they would pay to sort of consume the resources, in this case like block space. But we have obviously like just starting grant program, which hopefully can help to offset costs for folks and things like that. So we also want to help to incubate a rich ecosystem.
Sure. And from your perspective, so what advice do you have for the participants in terms of demonstrating strong innovation spirit and effectively articulating their project's vision? Which is the advice that you want to give them?
That's a good question. I would say that try something new, try something new and interesting. Don't just try to remake something that already exists. Think of what are the novel things that you could only build in the modular architecture, because I think that's where the most interesting like ideas are going to come from. And we've all seen like 1,000 different Uniswaps or remixes of the same ideas, and those are cool, but like try to add something that's very special and unique, and I think that then the idea kind of sells itself.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Nick, for your time. I think that your valuable insight could be very useful for everyone listening to this video. So let's now ask some questions to Sandeep, co-founder of Polygon. So Sandeep, which is your vision of the zkApp Acceleration Program?
Basically, with zk, we are going to have with zk and obviously modular approach, we are going to see. My estimate is that by end of this year, we're going to see probably 1,000 chains in the space, right? And the question is, or maybe before that, like ideally there will be 20-30 ecosystem chains, right? Like what Manta is building, but there will be 20-30 of them, including all the major public shared chains. And then there will be large number of app chains. And on these ecosystem chains, obviously there is a big requirement, big need of getting the builders, onboarding the builders, getting them to build the next generation applications, because now they have the benefit of scale, low cost, like high throughput, low cost, and obviously like with such programs like this, they can get very high amount of initial visibility also, right? So that's what like I feel that the accelerator programs like this can be very helpful for the builders. And in this case, like they are very helpful for the ecosystem also, like Manta ecosystem, for example. You get those early builders who build like crazy applications on the chain, and that in turn drives adoption on the chain, because that's the end goal. And also like when we speak to the non-crypto people, everybody will keep saying to you that, okay, now we have heard that there is enough scalability on the blockchains, where are the apps? Right? Like my answer is that although there is not enough scalability, unless you have a app chain, and if you are on a shared blockchain, the moment you are your users start approaching, like, let's say 100K a day, if you are paying for the user's gas fees, your meta transaction fees goes through the roof, right? So, but then again, like with this modular, kind of system and aggregated system using Polygon's aggregation technology, you can have like really, really low transaction fees on chains like Manta, and you can actually scale to probably larger number of users, assuming like, with the single sequencer kind of designs where you have a high throughput on the chains, some of the applications can actually scale. So we need to show like to the world, like we have like what, like $1.52 trillion market cap, and where are the apps is the question. So again, I think it's an attempt to get the apps.
Yeah, okay. And yeah, in regards to the zkEVM technology that Polygon is very well known for, so how can the participants leverage this within the acceleration program, and what are the advantages does it offer for the project aiming to enhance the scalability?
Yeah, so I mean, see, we offer that to chains, not to the developers who are building on top of the chains. Although arguably a lot of people are using Plonky 2, Plonky 3 are libraries like, our zk libraries to build some more privacy features and things like that. But our job is to, provide the full Ethereum security, like, to the chains, which then creates an environment for the large capital allocators, capital holders, or the users who can bring in large amount of liquidity onto the chain and comfortably build the liquidity into the chain. Let's say we get like multiple DeFi projects out of this cohort, and they are on Manta. Like if the chain is fully secured by Ethereum, like, it basically promotes the bigger players to bring in their liquidity, and and interact that liquidity with the application. So that's the most important part for the chains, right? And then the other benefit of that Polygon's like aggregated technology or the ecosystem is that, like, once Manta enables those zk proofs and connects into the aggregation layer, it is natively connected, like without any third party bridging. Because when you have a bridge in between, you have 3 layers of security. You have like the security of chain A, then the security of bridge B, and then the chain C, right? And anything out of this goes wrong, then you are in trouble, right? And we have already seen that how problematic the bridge hacks have been in the past. So with aggregating technology, all these chains which are like, connected to the aggregation layer, they are on one single security zone. They are not on multiple different security zones. They're like one single, because they don't need to trust each other, because everyone is proving to each other with their zk proof. So you have 100% guarantee of the execution proof. Plus with zk proofs, the sequencer cannot steal users' funds, right? So the user funds are always secured by Ethereum. Like if you find that the sequencer is doing something wrong, you can actually just exit your funds via Ethereum directly. So using this like aggregated technology, not only you get that, better liquidity benefits, with liquidity can come from other chains into your chain, but also you get interoperability, which again opens up more avenues for liquidity for you, because our end goal is that once the aggregator layer becomes like fast enough, then you can actually run a smart contract, take a flash loan from some other chain, execute some smart contract, and then the final result or whatever, like let's say you moved 100,000 USDT, you took a flash loan on zkEVM, and then you did some complex DeFi operation, and you brought back your $100,000 plus profit onto the chain. So all of this, once it becomes right, it is going to be like, once we launch our this is scheduled to go live in aggregation layer, is scheduled to go live in the month of February. Once that is go live, that is already doable, but it will be slower because this layer is right now built on Ethereum. Then it will be separated out into a faster layer, where this can then start happening in, let's say, in a time period of 20 to 30 seconds or a minute, right? So for the user, he's just seeing like, or he or she is just seeing a bar which is showing this cross-chain transaction. Eventually the goal is that this should be instant transactions between chains, then that opens up the liquidity of everything to your chain without the problems of bridging and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. So, how can the participants to the program explore collaboration with Polygon both during and after the program, and which kind of support do you guys provide to foster the growth of these projects here?
I think like the most important thing is when they are launching their applications in, let's say, on Manta, which we also consider a very close part of the ecosystem and all that, like they get all the kinds of support, like in terms of the marketing and any kind of like basically like giving the shout out to them and all that, getting them more visibility, and also like whatever like kind of connections or introductions they need in the ecosystem where we could connect them, or like within the community they can get those connections and all that. And obviously like any kind of like, we have a pretty large grant program, like every year it's like 100 million Matic grant program, and that is for developers only, so they can apply for the developer grants. If let's say the DAO approves the grants, they can get that also. Plus obviously this doesn't kind of include the Polygon ventures, and if they like do well, they can connect to Polygon Ventures, which is a pretty active venture arm in the crypto industry, and so many more things.
There will be several resources from your side, right?
Yeah. Of course.
They will have a lot of possibilities. Great. I think that should be it for you, Sandeep. So I would like to ask some questions to Luke. So with Polychain Capital being involved in the latest fundraising round for Manta, how do you see the value that participation in acceleration program can bring to early stage startups in terms of redefining their business strategy?
Just to clarify the last point on the question, when you say redefining the business strategy, you mean the business strategy of the startups?
Exactly.
Or the projects that potentially come up.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly,
I mean, with your opening sentence there about our investment into the last round, the $500 million Series B, it's like we've been able to create an umbrella, a waterfall, and set that seed, give Manta the capital required to power off to what's been a fantastic launch, and as a result, things within their ecosystem, perhaps pieces that gel them well with Polygon, are built on Celestia's data availability, or things that allow them to bridge natively something from the Manta Atlantic into the Manta Pacific. You have this maybe huge machine that's opened up with different mechanics and different working parts. And from that like holistic view that you can get, we can see different opportunities which we think can go into the business strategy to that ecosystem is taking some of these larger players, almost like when there's different experiments of filling large cylindrical tubes or whatnot, first with like rocks, and then with marbles, and then with sand. It's like the rocks have gone in, and now some of these pieces to drop into place and see where they can basically tessellate all of the big players together will be the business strategy, or at least the business ideation. Start filling in maybe what's innovative and new, but also necessary, and the necessity they're driven. Perhaps it's like what Sandeep said earlier, something creating that final scalability so we can get the apps, or maybe it's looking at some parts of Manta with Celestia as a little more app chain, and we can go, and some teams could start trying their hand at creating something just purely on the application layer. So I think having made that investment and then having Manta work with these other players, two of which are on the call, we've created basically a landscape of problems, fun problems to solve, and ones that can be, drivers of the business decisions of the teams coming out of this accelerator.
Yeah. Okay. And in the context of Manta participation in the zkApp acceleration program, how do you see the alignment between the insights from the program and the overall strategic goals of Polychain Capital in supporting and in investing into the blockchain projects?
I think they'll align very well. I think most of the things that I mentioned before, Polychain's simply capable of reinforcing, because we've been around for so long and we're so fortunate to have basically a broader spectrum of the things I just described in terms of several hundred, or at least a couple of hundred different portfolio companies and many token launches, and seen the industry in all of its undulations over 7 years now. We've been able to, I think, basically bring extra help for the derivation of business decision. How it fits in with our broader goal. Manta hits it on the head very well with the deep tech interest in infrastructure, whether it be scalability, functionality, usability, all of which are covered between them and their partners. So the wider goal of investing into infrastructure and deep tech based categories is hit very well on the head. And then I feel just making sure that capital allocators have the correct sounding board with the next generation of builders is also hit very well with this program.
Great, thank you very much, Luke. So James, I also have some questions for you. So given your technical expertise in the space, I would like to ask you, so could you please share some insights on key consideration, best practices when it comes to designing a robust blockchain protocol, and what are the elements, the critical elements that projects should focus on in their early stages?
Yeah, sure. I think I'll take the second question first, regarding like critical elements that projects should focus on in their early stages. And I think there's probably a few different areas. The one that's probably the most important is like understanding the market that you're addressing and trying to continue to understand how the market and the developer experiences are changing during that period of time. So, invest, and one way you can do that is like by like kind of leveraging investors on your cap table, right? So like investors shouldn't just be, I think in Web3, like a check that they write and then you never hear from them again. You can leverage them as like an extension of your team, and you can kind of use them as like they're in the market, right? They're talking to other teams, they're talking with other portfolio companies, they've got a large network, and so you can kind of use them to be like heads up sometimes while you're heads down building. And you can come up from time to time for air. And when you do, like ideally you don't have to do all of this like market research yourself. You can kind of leverage your investors in order to like have them do some of the market research for you and come back to you with like interesting articles or interesting takes or things that they've been thinking about. So really leverage your investor base like to enhance and kind of enrich like just your understanding of like where the market is today. Oftentimes what we hear about crypto developers or teams is that they're building solutions, and then once they build it, they like start looking for problems to solve. And so like if you build it, they will come mentality. And so one thing that we've been working with on some of the like much earlier stage teams is like what we've recommended is that they actually go out and talk to people, like do like surveys and like research on like your customer base. Like, and one of the questions that we ask a lot is like, are you a painkiller or are you a vitamin? If you're a painkiller, people will like, if you're in pain, right? Like you will do anything and pay anything to stop the pain, right? And so your customer base is, if you're providing a painkiller, they will jump over and they will work with you very closely. If you're a vitamin, like you're supposed to take your vitamins every day and like you'll just stay healthy longer over a longer period of time. And like, great, awesome. But like, it's not immediately urgent that I take my vitamins every day at the same exact time, right? It is very urgent that I take painkillers if I've like broken my leg, because like I just feel that pain every day. And so customer surveys and customer research helps you a lot of the times identify like kind of key profiles to target when you're about to launch your protocol. You can talk to people. So like blockchain is supposed to be a coordination layer, and a lot of the times we forget to like actually like talk to people that might want to use like whatever it is that we're building and the protocol we're building. So you should kind of identify key profiles of targets. You should talk to people and understand where their pain points are, what their priorities are, and how urgent these problems are, and the problem that you think you're solving for them. Like how urgent is it on their timeline? Is this something that like is more long-term? We'll get to it eventually, but like right now we're trying to deal with like this other aspect of like our project. Or is it something like, we need this right now because like if we don't have this, we're not going to be able to like be in business much longer, or maybe there's like some challenges, regulatory or otherwise. So the more that you can do that, the more you can kind of do customer research, you'll learn lessons from that. And I think another thing from that perspective is like, something else that we see is just like learning lessons from the past, like reading about the history of and development of the internet. A lot of the things that we're solving for have like already sort of been solved before in Web 2, and we can like learn a lot of like lessons from that. A lot of like another way of thinking about it is like, are you building a 5-star restaurant in New York City, or are you like building a 5-star restaurant in like Iowa in the middle of cornfields? And why does the added space that you would get in like Iowa, why is that a better opportunity, or is that an obstacle to like adoption and users, right? Like you may not be sold out as a restaurant in Iowa if you're like serving 5-star vegan only dishes, right? But like if you're in New York City, 11 Madison Park is one of the best restaurants in the world, and like good luck getting a reservation, right? So just like kind of being aware of like where you're operating. And net new can be, Nick mentioned like building new things, right? And depending on what ecosystem you're building in, like you might be in New York City and you're trying to build like something net new in New York City, which is going to be a lot harder than building something net new in a cornfield in Iowa, right? So like it's a sort of understanding sort of like where we are in the space and in the development space of like the ecosystem that you're building.
Yeah, okay, makes sense. You also mentioned to us several times, your strong expertise in the tokenomics design. So, and as we all know, tokenomics is a crucial aspect of many blockchain projects. So how can the startups strike a balance between, incentivizing users and at the same time ensuring network security and creating a sustainable economic model for their tokens?
I mean, if I had the secret, if I had like the answer here, I'd be the only one with it. I think we're still kind of developing and figuring that out, right? I think the points kind of like journey that everyone is on right now seems to be like an indication that the current model that's been used in the past has maybe helped mercenary capital, but like really doesn't attract attention over a sustainable and like longer period of time. We've spent a lot of time on app chains being part of like the Cosmos ecosystem, and also on like L1s and proof of stake networks. So we've seen real value, I think, created when you have an application specific blockchain, because like you have security that you can incentivize over time, you get adoption. And then ideally what we can see is like inflationary rewards begin to kind of taper off. And ideally what winds up happening is that you have applications that are generating like real cash flow, and you can start to potentially distribute that cash flow to token holders and validators in an interesting way. We don't spend as much time like on the just application layer, but we're beginning to. And I think one of the things that's been more difficult is like, how do you, beyond airdrops, right? And inflationary rewards, like how do you actually get something and build something that like people want to use and it's like sticky? It seems like Farcaster people are really excited and are active on Farcaster right now, and everyone's kind of jumping in and testing it out. There are applications that have product market fit. Generally speaking, they were early, and they've been there since 2020, and those have just continued to grow and like sort of dominate. How do you break down those monopolies? And those like digital monopolies is like perhaps can be with like with token rewards, but I think governance tokens in general have been a tricky situation, and people are still trying to figure out exactly how, like, whether this is worth anything. We think it is longer term, but on a medium to short term basis, it's been difficult to figure out like exactly where the benefits are. What I would say about tokenomics is, we're kind of, it's interesting to see that like, 4 years later, we're back to, or I guess 3 years later, like we're back to airdrop season. It's been quiet for the last 2 years. And it's interesting to watch like kind of Ethereum go through this new airdrop season. In DeFi summer 2020, there were a lot of airdrops, and there still are. We're seeing it in Solana right now for like users, right? Users using applications and then being rewarded down the road when there is a token by airdropping that token to like, your most heavily active users. In Cosmos during that period of time in 2020 and 2021, what we saw was airdrop season for like new app chains that were launching, and they were like just airdropping their tokens to like users of like other chains. And we're starting to kind of see that again. We're seeing a lot of like airdrops actually with in the Celestia ecosystem right now, which has been awesome for folks that are like holding Celestia. But Ethereum hasn't really experienced airdrop season before, and it feels like with Celestia providing data availability now to rollups across all ecosystems, as well as like EigenLayer and the advent of AVSs, that the Ethereum ecosystem is about to like experience Cosmos airdrop season 2021 for like the first time, and it'll be interesting to see sort of like how that adoption takes place and like what users do when they earn tokens without having to do some sort of like prerequisite of like activity other than maybe restaking or staking.
Great. Thank.
Like I guess the answer is like,
yeah.
It depends on what you're building. It depends on whether you're building an app chain, whether you're building an application, or whether you're building some sort of middleware. And I think the middleware and applications are still sort of, middleware will be an interesting one. I think we're gonna see a lot of middleware and interesting middleware come out this year. And how they're going to incentivize is going to be a lot different, I think, than, it might be more B2B actually than B2C.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, thank you for your valuable insight. I think that you just raised very good points. So, you know, your expertise will be beneficial for the participants to the program. Now I have some questions for Matt. So you mentioned that you are, you know, expert and you have strong interest in the mechanism design and ideation. So everyone knows that mechanism design plays a vital role in, you know, shaping the behavior of the centralized system. So what are some of the common challenges that startups face in this area, and how can they, you know, overcome them and create effective and, you know, aligned mechanism?
Yeah, I wouldn't call myself an expert. I certainly know what I'm talking about to some extent, but there are many way more smarter people than I am. I guess I'll mention like a few examples. So I think especially introducing actors that have censoring or like very powerful actors to your system is something that you need to be on the lookout for. Specifically, if let's say you're a zkApp application and you want some client-side proving, which is done on my computer or Luke's computer or James' computer, you would have to most likely, if you want to touch global state on the underlying roll-up or chain, you would need some intermediary to sort of order these transactions, which obviously is a centralizing force, and that force has the ability to censor as well. So who you're introducing in terms of actors that are powerful, and what the trust assumptions are around them is something that you need to be on the lookout for. However, like on the other side of the coin, there's also things that I do think you can outsource to more specialized actors or layers. I think obviously a brilliant example in the Manta case is if you want cheaper, faster, more efficient, and easier to verify data availability, you might go to something like a Celestia. Or if you're a zkApp application that want cheaper proving, something that is quite expensive, you could outsource your proving to a proving marketplace, like a Visionaries Bonsai. I know Polygon is doing stuff here as well, plenty of others in the same space. So there are sort of certain actors, and some of these actors have very solid security and verifiability assumptions that you can outsource to. But I do think when you do outsource these things, there is something to be slightly worried about, is sort of the ability for that system you're outsourcing to extract rent, to make it worth it for them to participate. So a lot of the shared security things that you can do outside of DA, because DA is unopinionated, there's a significant cost in supporting these new networks. So that could be something like an Unity security or EigenLayer or whatever. There is some costs for these operators to take on these new roles. So you do have to give away some fees or pay some inflation or whatever it might be. So that is something to keep in mind. I also think if you're specifically building on an rollable chain, if you're doing anything to do with trading, I do think you should be very careful about making everything into a latency game. So here you might want to do some stuff off chain where you have some ordering rules. That could be like a highway where you have arbitrators, liquidators that pay a higher fee, and then that fee might go to the token holders, as James mentioned, in tokenomics. Yeah, I think that covers it.
Yeah. Okay. And the ideation is the starting point for many projects, right? So how can the startups ensure that their ideas are not only innovative but also feasible and well suited for the current blockchain landscape? Do you have like any tips or validating concepts for that?
Yeah, I think kind of James alluded to this a little bit earlier. He kind of hit a nail on the head in the sense that you do want to continue to do customer or target audience interviews. So if I'm building something, I should certainly know who I'm building it for, and if the people I'm building it for actually need this. So I would say consistently throughout your ideation phase and your building phase, you should consistently be taking calls with the target customers of your application. I think that's extremely important. In this case, us mentors can sort of act as that sounding board. But also in the future, if you end up raising money from VC funds, these VC funds can also act as a sounding board. However, it is important to go to sort of the end users that you're targeting and getting feedback on your product throughout the entire time that you're working on this. Because otherwise you're just building blind, which is obviously a bit of an issue.
Thank you, Matt, for your insights. Yeah, we have some questions for Austin. Austin, are you there?
Yes. Can you see me?
Yeah, perfectly. So startups in the blockchain space often face unique challenges, especially when we are talking about tech. So from your experience, what are the key factors that contribute to successfully building and scaling startups, especially in the blockchain industry?
Yeah, there's a couple things. One of them is to really be super mission driven and laser focused on what you want to build and what your vision is, because you're going to get a million different opinions, and it's helpful to listen to these market insights, but the reason folks are investing in you and the reason users want to use your product is you're meant to be the subject matter expert in what you're building. So take all of those insights, but make sure you're true and core to your mission. And what that allows you to do is weather a lot of the fickleness that we see across crypto, where it's like one trend is really popular one day, and then the next everyone's like, well, it's this other thing and it's this other thing, and you kind of weather those different storms if you're really focused to what the original vision is. Because while a lot of people expect that you can, especially sometimes even community members, you can ship something in 3 months and then it's this amazing product and it works great from the beginning. These things take a really long time, and you need to be focused on building towards that. Another thing, and kind of relating to that, is, and this ties into what James was saying earlier around the painkiller versus the vitamin. You have to be really focused on user needs and iterate towards product market fit. So make sure that you're building what people want, not you're building a solution that's not a problem for anyone. And then maybe the last thing here, hiring is really, really critical. I know hiring is one of the most difficult parts of building a team and a project, but you really can never lower the bar. And if you hire people because it's the best that you found, but it's not the right person for the role, you'll end up paying for that down the line.
Okay, and as the startups navigate the challenges and the opportunities that the market offers, what is the advice that you have for maintaining agility and adaptability in this rapid evolving tech landscape?
Yeah, so a couple things. This is the other side of the coin, where before I said listen to all of the insights, but follow your vision. One of the ways that you can stay agile is by listening, and especially, I forget who said it earlier, but leveraging your investors and their insights and that 10,000 foot view to constantly be abreast of what's happening in the market. But at the end of the day, you need to make the right decision. But that helps you stay agile. Another thing, and this relates to hiring, is have the right team, but also have a lean team. there's the two pizza analogy, and there's a lot of other things, but like teams often get bloated and hire more than they need to just because they have money and they raised a lot of capital, and that can actually fly in the face of efficiency and getting to where you want to go. So make sure you're hiring for needs and that you're hiring for expected needs, and you're not just hiring because it's great to have an extra person, or you're hiring because the person that you hired previously can only do 70% of what you needed them to do, so now you're backfilling to fill the gap on what wasn't even the right hire in the first place. And then the last bit is, and maybe not an issue for the next year and a half, because I think we're headed into a really big bull market. But crypto is really cyclical. So make sure you manage runway. And this allows you to be agile so that when there are leaner times, you're not forced to make decisions that you wouldn't want to make just because your burn is high.
Great, Austin. And thank you very much for answering all the questions, and thank you all the mentor for answering the questions. So I think that your insights will be extremely valuable. Projects will really love working with you side by side. So I just have a last question, a closing question for Kenny. So beyond the 6 weeks program, what opportunities and support mechanisms are in place for projects that successfully complete the acceleration program? So are there kind of, continued collaboration, funding, or integration opportunities within the broader blockchain ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost is, the projects here. I think that being able to work with the teams that are even on this call kind of begins to start building that relationship for a partnership moving forward. And then second is more so on the funding VC side, right? I think many of the team members, nice dog, Mats, but many of the team members already mentioned that they're really keen on finding great projects to invest in. And so I think definitely there's a lot of support ongoing even beyond the actual accelerator itself.
Great. Thank you very much, Kenny. For those who are watching, if you guys are considering joining the application, the zk application accelerator, I'm sure that this information has been incredibly helpful. Don't forget to submit your application by visiting our website and be part of this extraordinary opportunity. Thank you for watching, and thank you guys. Hope we can see each other soon, and thank you for participating.